I think one of the most important preparations for working with others is that we do look after our own grief. So they're not mutually exclusive. The one is necessary in order to do the others. I think we can't hold people somewhere that we're not prepared to go ourselves. So it's the old story of putting on your oxygen mask before you put on somebody else's. I think we have to face our own mortality and be honest with ourselves about the things that might be difficult for us as we come towards the end, and really think about what life means to us in order to know what we're going to be grieving and leaving behind when we die. And I think that's really necessary. So when you're with somebody who's dying, it's not all the sitting around the bedside with somebody beatific lying on a pillow and holding her hand. It can be really quite messy. It can be relatives trying to hold somebody back. It can be the disease processes are really quite something sometimes. The person might be resistant. There can be all sorts of difficulties going on for somebody. And it's really important that we feel like a safe place for them, that we can hold that space despite all the challenges. And so it's important that we know our own triggers, our own vulnerabilities. And if they do get sparked, be able to put them aside and go, okay, I see you, I'll deal with you later. But right now I'm present for this person and their family. We'll start off on the Friday afternoon getting to know one another. Hopefully in the evening, weather permitting, we'll be around a fire, getting to know one another a bit more intimately. The next morning, there'll be meditation, there'll be morning sessions, there'll be creativity, there'll be time working in threes and working in twos, there'll be time in the afternoon working on our own, and in the evening, there'll be a ceremony. And then the Sunday, there'll be more creative work and more work together and more work as a whole. And we'll have a closing ceremony. So it'll be a mix of reflection, creativity, ceremony, joy in one another's presence. But the flavor will be, I hope, is gentleness. This is sensitive work. And if we're going to hold other people sensitively, we need to hold ourselves sensitively. We need to have a softness within ourselves. This is not a place of judgment. This is a place where you come with your honesty, with your vulnerability, allowing yourself to be open. Keep yourself safe, but be open and courageous in being here together. So I think it's going to be beautiful, really beautiful. And we're in a beautiful part of the country. I think it's going to be gentle. And I hope people will go away feeling restored, recharged, inspired, and with a sense of being able to hold themselves tenderly.
Thank you, Nikki. You also mentioned as well about having space within a retreat, like not trying to do too much within that. Is that part of that as well?
Yeah, I think so. I've held lots of retreats in my time, and you want people to get their money's worth. And so the tendency is to put lots and lots and lots of stuff in so that they get, but actually it's in the spaces that a lot of the work happens. So it's not crammed full. And that's why there's activities on our own, and on the Saturday afternoon it's very spacious. There'll be time to take a walk, there'll be time to find your own space within the grounds and write and contemplate and be with your own thoughts. And we'll be quite spacious over meal time, so there's time to get to know one another and time for the work to settle and filter down more deeply, or time to take yourself off on your own and have the solitude that you need. It's very joyful to be together. It can also be prickly because we're human. We're very human, and we're 3D human, not a screen human. So that's a lovely, lovely thing. But I think Because we're together for a few days, and I've used this word already this morning, there is more opportunity to build trust and vulnerability. This is vulnerable work, and we need to be able to be honest and have the courage to be vulnerable. And there is no better way to do that, I think, than being in person where we can support one another. And what's really powerful is being able to bear witness to one another. You know, it isn't one of the easiest things to do in this work is to try and make it better. And there is nothing to be made better. If somebody's dying, they're dying. If somebody's grieving, they've lost something really precious. We can't make that better. So we can hold a safe space for them. We can sit alongside them as they experience what they're experiencing, and we can bear witness to them. And that is an incredibly powerful thing. So over the course of these 3 days, we will be bearing witness to one another. And that's quite a lot of what the ceremony will be about too. And so I think that's something that isn't quite the same online. There's nothing that replaces that human heart to heart, body to body ability to be there for another. And also, we're bearing witness to the other, but we are being witnessed, we are being heard. These are incredibly healing experiences for us. So that's one thing. And the other thing is that when we're in a group all together, there is a dynamic that happens. There's like I'm not sure what the word is. It is a zeitgeist or something. I can't remember what the word is, but we form a sort of organism of our own when we're in a group together, and it has an energy of its own. So I can plan all this and think, yes, this is what we're going to do, but there will be an organic process, an alchemical process, I could almost say, that happens by virtue of the fact that we are together and we become one group. And that too is an amazing thing to experience.
And I guess from the other retreats that you've held as well, do you find that the mixture of the groups can really just be so dynamic and so diverse? Like almost like the energy that it
Absolutely.
creates can just,
Yeah.
you can't really predict.
You can't predict it. That's true. You really can't. And I don't know what's coming. So that's why I say I can have my plans, but I don't know who will be there. I don't know what everyone will bring. And I don't know what will happen when you put all the different elements together. I don't know that. What I do know is that I will hold it safely. And this is really important. We have to build a container of safety. So there'll be certain kind of protocols that we work with, and there'll be things like not giving advice, not interrupting, not making suggestions, but really listening to one another. I think it's Bill Plotkin has this phrase, listening with the ears of your heart. And that's what we'll be doing. We'll be listening with the ears of our hearts to one another. And so we want to make it safe and we want to make it beautiful for one another. Don't know whether I can teach this work. I can share my experience, but I suppose what's important is that when we sit with somebody dying or somebody grieving, this has never happened before. So this person dying or this person grieving, this death, this funeral has never happened before. And so it's to have the humility to learn what's there in the present moment and not to make assumptions. I think that's really important that we don't make assumptions. But when I started working in the hospice with people who were dying, I thought what I would be working with as we don't call it chaplaincy in the hospice I work with, we call it spiritual care. But what I thought I was going to be working with was people's regrets, the unfinished business, all of that kind of thing. It isn't predominantly. Most often what bothers people is their loss of control. And we think we have so much control over our own lives. We are the agents of what happens, we think. in our lives. And actually, death tells us something else. Death tells us you are not in control. I will come when I come, and you don't dictate to me. You can't dictate to me. And for many people, that is really, really difficult. And I think people in that situation often need to be reassured that is okay, that it's okay not to be in control, that there is a sort of surrender that happens, a surrender into the process that's happening. And if you fight it and resist it, you're going to be very agitated. And a lot of people are, and then they become sedated. But I think there's such a huge learning in that possibility of surrendering into what is coming. And I'm kind of an advocate. I need to say this to myself. I'm an advocate for learning what it is to surrender in the little moments. I can't influence that. I need to allow it to have its own life. I can't change that. I need to bless it and not want it to be different. So practicing surrender is something that I've been learning.
Is that woven through in your approach, would you say then? Like creating space where you give people opportunity to allow in that surrender?
I give people space to allow in surrender. Do you want to say more, Lauren? I'm not quite sure what you're getting at.
So when you were saying about having pockets within your own life of moments where you can practice that surrender, do you feel like that's what other people have an opportunity to also invite in a
Well, all interfaith ministers have a personal vow,
mm,
and all students who become ordained will have a personal vow. And when you look at the vast range of vows that we make, in effect, they all say one thing. In effect, they all say, I surrender to my understanding of the divine, God, spirit, whatever you call it, source. Because what you're doing as a minister is stepping into that place where it's not you in control, but you being the hands and the feet of that which is greater than you. That's who we serve, or that is what we serve. We're not necessarily, if we think that we're serving Mr. Bloggs who's dying, then that's, and if he takes a long time about it, or if his wife is tricky, we could end up sacrificing ourselves for Mr. Bloggs. But actually what we're doing is a bit wider than that. We're opening to that which is I don't know what I would call it, but that which is directing that process. And that's what we are opening to. And when we make our vows as ministers, that's what we're saying. I open to you. I open to love. I open to God. And here I am. Here is my heart. Here I am in service to you. So I would say that for all of us, we would hopefully come with that awareness that that's what we choose to do, we're asking to do. That's what ordination means. We're choosing ourselves, asking that that's what we can be used for. But I think there's no greater place to learn the truth of that than in the dying process. I would want them to know that everything I offer is an invitation, not an instruction. We always have responsibility for ourselves. We always can take care of ourselves. Notwithstanding the need for honesty and vulnerability, yet it's really important that we take care of ourselves and don't push ourselves over an edge. So if somebody comes and they think, no, I can't do that right now, that's fine. You don't need to. I won't push somebody. I'm not standing there with a big stick. Everything I offer is an invitation because this is the nature of the work. the nature of the work is invitational. The nature of the work is gentle. So I have to walk my talk with those who come to the retreat too. So I would hope that people could feel reassured that they may be stretched, but I will do my best to take care of them, and you will do your best to take care of them. And they have every right to take care of themselves and just follow their own needs rather the invitations that I give if they need to. They need our presence. That's what they need. They don't need anything clever. They need to feel safe, reassured, and that all is well. And so simply our presence, the presence of our heart, the presence of our attention, that is what they need. It really isn't rocket science. It's simply being a safe anchorage for people.
Yeah.
So that I think it's really important that in order to move to what's coming, the place we're standing right now is solid. So we hold that safe, solid place for people. We are alongside somebody. And when that is clear, by our presence, by our willingness to pay attention, by our ability to listen, without any agendas, somebody's free to go.
Love that visual of like the anchor as well. I almost see it as like a rooted tree, you know.
Yes. Yeah. We are that, I have a favorite tree that I go and sit on. It must have fallen down in its youth because the trunk is now horizontal, close to the ground. So that's my little perch beside the river. And that tree is my safe place. That's where I go and lean my back against it and know that I'm solid. And from that, I can move on. I take to that tree whatever is troubling me. And the river might take the troubles away, but the tree has had my back. So we will be using nature. I think nature is the best guide ever.
Yeah.
And so we will be using nature or looking to nature to guide us through this retreat.
Yeah. It's a beautiful location that you're just surrounded by nature. There's a fire pit. There's
Fantastic.
so many wonderful little pockets that people can go and walk. So
I'm so looking forward to this, Lauren. I'm so looking forward to it. I hope there'll be lots of people come, and I hope we will form a very beautiful. There will be an intimacy about it. That's something else you asked about. The difference between Zoom and in person, and that's a good word. Intimacy. There'll be a sharing that can happen when we're in person that is more difficult when we're online, and that sort of intimacy with nature and the immediacy of one another's presence. That those things will make it very beautiful.
Absolutely. It will be magical. And the time of year as well. In
Yeah.
spring, everything coming alive. It'd be beautiful. Yeah.
And that's another point, actually. Everything will be coming alive, and we're talking about death and dying. And this is one of the things that I get on my high horse about, that death in our culture is removed from life, but actually death happens within life. And when we shut death away and make it taboo, it's so unhelpful for people who are dying and their families who are grieving. And one of my really, I don't know, can I call it a passion, but something I feel really deeply about is bringing the taboo of death, bringing it out of the shadows and bringing it back into life. So here we will be in the midst of life talking about death. And there's a kind of rightness about that.
Yeah, it's almost removing the taboo off of it and actually bringing both elements.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. I don't know, it's very symbolic. I feel like that's a nice place to
Okay.
finish. How do you feel about
Yeah,
finishing
fine.
there? Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. I think yeah, I think that was amazing. So thank you. Thank you so much for
Very welcome.
questions.
Well, we were efficient, Lauren, 30
And
minutes. Woohoo!